If I could describe the Get My Life tour in one word, it would be vulnerability. Showing up for yourself is so important. Welcome to the Get My Life tour. I'm your host, Lydia T. Blanco. Hey y'all, and welcome to the Get My Life tour. It is me, your host, Lydia T. Blanco. And as always, you know that I'm excited that you decided to show up for yourself. Thank you for carving time out of your day to tune in. I don't know what platform you're listening on, but thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for paying attention to your push notifications. And thank you for just being on tour with me. This is episode 40 of the Get My Life tour. And I am blown away by the opportunity to say that this is episode 40. Shout outs to consistency. Shout outs to the Most High for giving me the Get My Life tour, and to you for taking advantage of free admission and showing up for yourself. So thank you so much. It will make a year that we have been on tour in July, and I am so grateful. I just can't thank you enough. Look, this is going to be a short stop on the Get My Life tour, but I hope that it is impactful. You know, I have been experiencing some highs. I've also been experiencing some lows, and I don't know if it's due to sheltering in place and just missing, normalcy, or if it's just because of where it is that I'm going. And sometimes I'm unsure of what next looks like, but I am hopeful. And I've been thinking about what this stop on the tour was going to be about. And after a number of walks this week, two in particular, one yesterday and one today, I decided that I wanted to talk about going higher. I am so into nature. And every time I'm outside, there are words that come to me. Sometimes I stop in the middle of my walks and I'm taking notes. Other times I am photographically taking pictures in my mind with my memory, right? Closing my eyes, squinting really hard. And then there are other times where I just have to be still and just allow the wind to hit my face and meditate briefly on what it is that comes to me. But for the past 2 days, the same word has been coming to me, and it is go higher. So I began to take notes, and it really dawned on me that something is calling me higher. Something is calling me to go higher. And I don't think that this word is just for me. I believe that there is something that may be calling you to go higher. Like I said, was on this walk, and the elevations are high. The scenery is beautiful, and you can't help but to be mesmerized by all of the beauty around you. We're outside wearing face masks. Some people aren't. And, it's something about starting on one level and then working your way up to the next, being lost in conversation and just the process and journey and every step that you take to get to the peak and be able to look around you, right? It's something about going to the mountaintop. And, I believe that we can move mountains with our faith, but there have been times as of lately where I have not felt like moving any mountains. I mean, if I could scream at one to make it move, I would, but I don't think that's the season I'm in. And just honestly, there have just been some mountains I feel like I couldn't even approach, right? And when I got to the top of each mountain, something was calling me higher. I noticed that, when you go higher, not only do you get to rise above your environment, you also get to rise above your circumstances. There are just some things that you cannot take with you when you go higher, not only because they'll weigh you down, but because they're not needed, right? You can't take everything with you when you go higher because it's not required. And if you take those things with you, you'll get there and you won't be able to enjoy the moment. So I've been packing light when I go hiking, when I go on walks and different trails. I just have my little fanny pack. I got it last year when I was traveling to Nigeria, and I can't get rid of it because I just love that thing. I'm like, what? Who invented the fanny pack? I don't know, but it is an incredible invention. Okay. But being able to pack light and not worry about what I'm carrying as I go higher has truly been, a blessing, because I'm not worried about what's in my hands. I am not thinking about the weight of the things that I decided to carry with me. I'm just going. Going higher also changes your perspective, right? When you're standing at the top of a mountain or at any level higher than what you're used to, it really gives you a different outlook, and you're able to see things as they are, and even if you're not able to see things as they are, I think it helps you to see above or beyond what it is that you're used to looking at in close proximity. I used to stand at the top of this, I guess it's a mountain or a cliff. I don't know what it was. We just called it The Rock in my childhood neighborhood. And we would look at the coastline of California. And when standing on top of that rock, I never looked to see where the house we stayed in was. Like, I always wanted to look past it. I could see the mall. I could see the water. I could see neighborhoods I have always imagined what it would be like living in. And being able to stand that high and take deep breaths and look past, where it was that my reality lied, at a lower elevation or a lower level. Correct me later. I just remember that so vividly, and it always just took me somewhere else. And it helped me also to appreciate what I was overlooking, right? You get down, you have to deal with reality. I think sometimes when we think about going higher, we think that means not ever having to come down. I am someone who I'm not a fan of people who are too high and mighty, but you got to come back down to earth. If not, others will try to bring you back down to size. So I think that's just something else I wanted to offer to the conversation. Outside of perspective, I honestly think that going higher heightens your senses. The air becomes a little bit more crisp. The noises that you're used to hearing drown out in the winds. And nature calls you, right? And I think on another level, other sounds and voices become more clear when you're headed in the direction that you are being called in, when you are elevating, when you are going higher. Certain sounds become more clear. They become more distinct. Sometimes I think about my name being called from another room, and you're like, huh? Or you stop to pause and wait for the sound to be made again, or for the name that you think is being called to be said again. And sometimes you lose it. You're like, I don't, should I respond? I'm not sure. Should I get closer? Should I just walk in there? Right? And when you're being called higher, sometimes you have to move in that direction. And when you're going, when you are on your way, there are things that will become more clear, and you'll be able to hear, and there'll be things that are drowned out. A lot of the background noises will be drowned out. On our walk, we heard frogs today, and I was just like, whoa. I live in Harlem, with the exception of being home now, right? But it's not every day that I hear frogs. I began to walk lighter so that I can continue to hear the sound of the creek and the frogs. And then another frog responded in conversation, or at least I'd like to think so, to the first frog that was making noise. And it was so beautiful. I was just like, okay, just keep going, keep listening, be attentive, be present, be still, take those deep breaths as you are being called higher, because the air changes, right? What is going to be required of you will change. The way that you need to pace yourself as you go higher will need to change. You can't go full speed if you've been going full speed before. Sometimes you'll have to slow down, make sure that you have your grip as you go higher. Sometimes you can't, be so light on your feet. Sometimes you have to plant your feet as you go higher. I just think of so many different things, right? And I keep on using these metaphorical references and things of that nature because some people have never gone hiking. Maybe they've just gone on a regular trail, right? Or they've climbed the side of a mountain. I'm not sure what your experiences are, but when you are called higher, I do believe that certain senses are heightened so that you can respond to whatever it is that is calling you. Something else that I paid attention to in the areas that we were hiking, or that I was hiking in, was these trails, right? Most trails are clear because, however many people are walking through and leaving their mark and just, clearing the pathway for others. And then there are some trails that if you look at closely enough, or just some areas, I'll say, if you look at closely enough, you realize that they were once trails and they're no longer being used. And I began to walk slower and look for other areas like that. And I began to wonder, when did people stop walking that way? I wonder why. Like, were the steps shaky? Was the gravel loose? Is there something down there? I am not sure, right? And there was no one to answer those questions. So I began to just think about it. And honestly, what came to me is that when you are on your way up, you'll notice some pathways that have grown over or are no longer in use that you will have to blaze. We think about trailblazing as I'm not even going to speak for you, not say we. Some people think about trailblazing as going before others and being the first to do something. When I looked at a lot of those pathways today, it looked like someone had already blazed the trail, but somewhere along the way, other people didn't see that as a way that they could go, right? And maybe you are called somewhere no one has been before. And maybe there's somewhere you have been called to that others just could not finish the journey and complete, or whatever the case may be. So there may be pathways that are evident, but not as clear, that you have to uncover and, that you have to actually blaze the trail again. That excites me. That excites me because, it says that there's room, for you and that you can do it, right? I think it also is, a little frightening, as exciting as it is, right? Some people may be like, I don't want to go anywhere someone else has been, but you just do not know, right? When you think about legacy and things of that nature, it gives you the opportunity to continue something, right? So maybe you are being called to continue something as you go higher. I am not sure, but that is what came to me, and I wanted to share it with you as well. The last thing that I'd like to offer is that as you are called to go higher, Yes, you may be called to go by yourself, but you do not have to go alone. There's the difference. A lot of us have our assignments, and it is what we have been tasked to do, with anointing. And then some of us, right, we just have to go at it, and that's just what it is. No one can go with us. But I'd also like to say that for those who do not have to go by themselves, it's important to not do it alone, not go alone. It's important to take people with you. It's also important to have accountability partners as you go higher, right? I don't think it's always necessary to have someone rooting for you. Sometimes that becomes too much noise, and that person can be rooting for you and you're not making any progress, right? But it is important to have those who hold you accountable. I honestly think that you can be called higher, but if you are discouraged, if you are at a point where you don't feel like going the distance, you should have someone who's going to hold you accountable. You can very much so be called, but don't feel like it. And I remember speaking to someone and they told me there are going to be days where you don't feel like it, but you have to do it anyway if you want to succeed at whatever it is that you're setting out to do. That was one of the realest things I'd heard during that time, because I needed to hear that word, right? We all get tired, overwhelmed, exhausted, whatever the case may be. But having someone there to hold you accountable, to push you when you need it, right? You could be called higher, but if you don't feel like going, you may need somebody behind you pushing you until you muster up enough, whatever it is that you need to keep going. Look, I don't know what's calling you higher. Maybe it's the thing that keeps you up at night. Maybe it's the thing that keeps coming back to you like a boomerang. Whatever it is, I say, listen to it. Go. Do it. Why not? Why not? Look, as I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself as well, right? Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt or just go all in. Either way, I believe something just might be calling you higher. I really hope that if you tuned in, you got something that you needed or something that you can share with someone else. I've been thinking about my mic drop moment for quite some time. And it is when you are called and you get to where it is you are going, you just might realize that you were the person who you were waiting for when you arrive. I truly believe that a lot of us are being called back to ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm so glad that you decided to take this time to listen to what I had to say and for tuning in. It has truly been a pleasure. As always, to stay connected with the Get My Life Tour, do so by checking out the getmylifetour.com, being connected with us me, the Get My Life Tour, on all social platforms at the Get My Life Tour, with the exception of Twitter. It is at Get My Life Tour because the Get My Life Tour was too long. Be sure to leave a review on the platforms where you tune in. I would greatly appreciate knowing what your thoughts are. Leave us some ratings with some stars, or leave a review in the comment section on social media. You can be sure to connect with me at Lydia T. Blanco on all social platforms. Stay up to date with what I'm doing at lydiatblanco.com. And be sure to tune in next week because the guest for next week is pretty lit. I'm so excited that I will be able to share that episode with you. I never give away who next week's guest is, so you just gonna have to tune in, right? Or I just may drop a hint on social media because I heard that there's a giveaway. Look, don't let me incentivize you, but if you're willing to be incentivized, be incentivized. I'm kidding. Okay, I look forward to the next stop of the Get My Life tour, and I look forward to seeing you there. Until the next time, it has been real. Peace.